From the outset, Central Command realized that air superiority would be essential to victory in the desert. To reach this goal, air planners formed strike packages, teams of aircraft, each with a specific role to play on a given mission. Sometimes numbering over 50 planes, strike packages have the same basic components. First are air-to-air fighters, next the wild weasels, whose job is to locate and knock out SAMs. These are followed by radar jammers. Behind the jammers come the strike aircraft, the punch of the packages. Bringing up the rear is another flight each of wild weasels and air-to-air fighters. With as much as 5 miles between each group, a single strike package covers a huge piece of sky. Persian Gulf pilots describe them as 40-mile-long gorillas. In the battle against the Iraqi Air Force, the undisputed king of the hill was the F-15C. Capable of speeds in excess of 1,500 miles an hour and carrying both infrared and radar-guided air-to-air missiles, F-15s are fast and deadly. They're also heavy, weighing upwards of 60,000 pounds when fully loaded. In close-quarters dogfight, the F-15's weight would be a huge disadvantage. Fortunately, modern air-to-air warfare is seldom a close-quarters game. AIM-7 radar-guided missiles, one of the F-15's primary weapons, can destroy targets from 25 miles away. As the premier air-to-air fighters of Desert Storm, the F-15 did more to crush the Iraqi Air Force than any other coalition aircraft. Of 38 air-to-air kills, F-15s were responsible for 33.
We're flying F-15Es, and essentially our mission here with the 4th Wing is to provide deep interdiction support for the ground forces. The primary targets are in the northern part of the theater, the northern Kuwaiti theater, and essentially the interdiction portion of it is to prevent those forces from being brought to bear against the forward deployed elements of the Army and the Marines, the coalition forces.
By the 10th day of Operation Desert Storm, what remained of the Iraqi Air Force had begun fleeing across the border and into Iran. Following the F-15s in strike packages were F-4Gs. Their mission, seek out and destroy any enemy installation or weapon system that uses radar. Their preferred weapon is the appropriately named HARM, or High-Speed Anti-Radiation Missile. HARMs lock onto the radar signal and simply follow it to the source. In Operation Desert Storm, the F-4G Wild Weasels were so effective that most Iraqi SAM sites simply refused to turn on their radar. As a result, radar-guided SAMs, which figured to be the biggest threat in the Iraqi air defense arsenal, accounted for only 20% of coalition casualties. The main strike force was usually comprised of F-16 Fighting Falcons. Designed as a low-level attacker, F-16s flew over 13,000 combat sorties and dropped more than 20,000 tons of bombs. However, they were not as effective as the Air Force had expected.
Beam F-A-314 is an F-18 Hornet squadron that is presently providing close air support and deep strike support, along with anti-air warfare for both Imminent Thunder and the Persian Gulf Desert Shield operation in general.
The reasons for the disappointing performance are easy to pinpoint. First, there was a critical shortage of the targeting pods needed to use guided munitions. As a result, none of the F-16s that flew in the Gulf used laser-guided bombs. While the Weasels had effectively neutralized the Iraqi SAMs, there was little that could be done to knock out the low-tech mobile anti-aircraft artillery. The Iraqis successfully forced the F-16s to altitudes above 12,000 feet. Finally, there was Mother Nature. The F-16 was designed as a clear-weather daytime aircraft. The entire 43 days of the air war were marked by low cloud ceilings and poor visibility. The F-16 barely had a chance to show its stuff.
But the weather was a factor. We never thought it was going to be as bad. I mean, we lost a lot of sorties over there because the weather was the worst in a decade or something like that. And this was fought in January and February, so these were winter months. And so many of our sorties aborted in the air because they never found the target, couldn't get to the target.
British and Saudi Tornadoes used their JP-233 runway denial munitions against runways and taxiways. British losses were relatively high due to their low-level tactics. Starting from the first night of the war, raids were repeated every night for weeks. The effect was obvious. In spite of a sortie rate of more than 2,000 missions per day, coalition air losses were under 0.1%. The F-A-18 pilot flies one of the most versatile weapons in the military. His plane can fight in the air and attack on the ground. He can defend himself and the fleet against a multitude of threats, and he can perform all these tasks in a single mission.
A fighter pilot's brain is a certain size. When he's standing here on the ground and we're just talking, you put a strap on an airplane, it shrinks down to about 50% of that. It's dark outside and a lot of things are going on. You're operating on maybe 10% of what you have. So we call it STEM power. So when you're on STEM power, you really want to be able to fall back on those things that you've always done. So it's the habit patterns that are going to keep you alive.
For an attack mission, you're going to fly some kind of ingress. It might be low level, it might be high level. And as you're coming in, you're thinking about the target that you're going to attack, and you're also looking for other enemy airplanes on your radar. And if you find some, what you want to do is try to shoot those guys down before they engage you, obviously, because that's better for you. You'll be alive, and also you'll accomplish your mission. If they engage your strike package, more than likely you'll have to jettison all the air-to-ground ordnance you have and maneuver with them till you can either get away from them or shoot their airplanes down. Your mission won't go. So you're trying to work on that, and then as you get in closer to the target, you're going to switch modes. You switch from your air-to-air mode to your air-to-ground mode, and you start looking to acquire the target visually with the, you use the systems on board the airplane to aid you, and then as you get closer, you acquire it visually, and then you actually roll in on the target from high altitude and then release your ordnance. Sometimes you get overloaded. And then you have to kind of let some of the tasks go away. You just don't do them.
Training isn't always enough for a supersonic jet pilot to survive combat.
I still get scared, real scared, and you get kind of a little bit on edge, but that's pretty good though. Gives you that little burst of adrenaline there that keeps you on edge and doesn't allow you to become complacent.
The coalition allies were superior to the Iraqis in numbers, control, quality, and training. Thanks to the sophisticated long-range radar and advanced command and control capabilities of the Boeing E-3 AWACS, coalition pilots knew exactly what was going on in the skies over the war zone. When Iraqi pilots tried to make a fight of it, they were knocked out of the sky, primarily by the F-15 Eagles of the U.S. Air Force. At least 130 U.S. Air Force Eagles participated in the Gulf War, together with 4 Saudi squadrons. Eagles scored 35 out of a total of 41 coalition aerial victories in the Gulf, including the only 2 non-American kills by an Eagle of the Royal Saudi Air Force's No. 13 Squadron. The result of all the attention by coalition assets, both on the ground and in the air, meant that the Iraqi Air Force played very little part in the battle, and a large portion of its most modern aircraft was flown to internment in Iran to escape destruction.